Welcome to the first part of the preview of the final of the 2026 T20 World Cup between India and New Zealand. In this part, we'll be talking about the batsmen, who are they, and what kind of impact can they create. Let's jump into it. Let's get into the lineups that these two teams will come with. For India, I don't think they will drop Abhishek Sharma, so it'll be Abhishek Sharma, who's a brilliant hitter of the ball, and Sanju Samson. So if you can see, Abhishek Sharma is averaging 31.8 at a strike rate of 191.4, which is incredible. And as you can see, he's an explosive opener. He has a very low dot index and a high boundary index, similar to Sanju Samson, who again has a very low dot index and a slightly less boundary index, but that still makes him an elite attacker, a player who can create a lot of impact. He's been the man of the match in the previous two games, so Sanju Samson is heading into this game with a lot of form. Ishan Kishan had three pretty poor streak of games coming into the final, but again he played that brilliant knock against Pakistan and he's been in the form of his life. So do not count Ishan Kishan out of this game. At 4, India will play Tilak Verma, who's a brilliant strike rotator. He has a very low dot index and he's above par for boundaries in the middle overs. He has an incredibly high average of 41.7 and he's a match winner. We saw him do it in the Asia Cup final of 2025. We know he can do it in the big stage, but will Tilak Verma arrive? Next is our captain Surya Kumar Yadav, a brilliant player of both pace and spin. He's an elite attacker. He has a dot index of 77 and a boundary index of 187, makes him an incredible striker of the ball. You can see that with his 178.2 strike rate, and he's doing it at an average of 36.4, which is typically unheard of at that strike rate, which is why Surya Kumar Yadav has consistently been considered one of the greatest T20 batters of all time. Next up, we have Hardik Pandya, and I think everybody in India knows about Hardik Pandya, the kind of impact he can create, the clutch player that he is. He's going to be a finisher for India. He's going to be playing close to 6 or 7, which is 4 down or 5 down. An incredibly high average, a high strike rate, and a very low dot ball index. Next up, Rinku Singh. I think unfortunately Rinku Singh will sit out. I don't think India will make any changes to their lineup because it's a winning squad. They've won 2 games on the bounce and been brilliant with the bat. So there's no real reason to bring Rinku Singh in. Next up, Shivam Dube. I think Shivam Dube is a very underrated player. He's come in with crucial 20s and 30s whenever India has needed him throughout this World Cup and in the previous World Cup. He's a player he's an incredible hitter of spin. It's absolutely amazing to watch him take down spinners. He's got a pretty high average of 33.6 and an incredibly high strike rate of 171.8, but he does struggle a little bit against faster bowling that is bowled straight onto his body, his shoulders, or bouncers. He's also a player who scores a lot of runs from boundaries, as you can see with his boundary index of 160. Typically, these runs mostly come off sixes, and he's a big six hitter, Shivam Dube. Up Akshar Patel, another clutch player for India. He's always come in handy whenever there's been a chance of a collapse for India. He's come in and he's played some crucial knocks. An average not so high of 26.4, but given that he's been used mostly as a lower order anchor, as a collapse prevention specialist, a good hitter of spin, Akshar Patel is a brilliant option to have lower down the order. A dot index of 78 is absolutely incredible, which makes him one of the best strike rotators in the world. Now, I think unfortunately Washington Sundar will sit out again, but he's a decent batter in his own right. He's similar to Akshar Patel in the role that he might play for India, but he has a slightly higher boundary index and he's been played at 4 for Gujarat Titans, so that'll probably explain it. Next up, we have the New Zealand squad. New Zealand will open the batting with the explosive Finn Allen and Tim Seifert. Now, Finn Allen, he's a player who's had a T20 average of only 17.5 since 2024, but he has been incredible this tournament. He's one of the top scorers. He got a century against South Africa in 33 balls. We talked a little bit about that knock, and if he's hitting anywhere close to that, India's in for a lot of trouble. He's a player who's in who's probably arrived. I think Finn Allen has been spoken about for about 4 to 5 years now, and we were all wondering, where did Finn Allen go? Why is he not performing? Because he was hyped up to be one of the biggest talents, and it's safe to say that Finn Allen has arrived. His performance in the BBL 2025-26 and this year's 2026 T20 World Cup has been pure evidence of that. I think he's going to be one of the most crucial batters for New Zealand. And even if India puts up 240, if Finn Allen gets his bat on it, there's a chance for New Zealand. Along with him is Tim Seifert. Tim Seifert is another explosive opener, not as much as Finn Allen. Finn Allen likes to go all or nothing. Tim Seifert is a little bit more conservative, but he's also an aggressive opener, as you can see with his 166 strike rate. Finn Allen plays a lot more dots than Tim Seifert, and the boundary index probably is explained by his poor form during the start of 2024, throughout 2024. But since 2025, he has recovered. So this dot index and boundary index can be taken a bit lightly for Finn Allen. Tim Seifert, on the other hand, he's been batting great for New Zealand. He had a couple of decent knocks. He's had a couple of really good knocks whenever New Zealand has needed him, especially in the bigger games. He's gotten crucial 50s, so he's a player who's really been bankable for New Zealand. Another bankable player for New Zealand who unfortunately will not play today is Devon Conway. Devon Conway is more of a sheet anchor. It might be useful on a pitch like Ahmedabad when everybody is hitting on the other end, but New Zealand don't really have a role for him because they've got other good middle order batters who can do the same thing. One of which is Rachin Ravindra. Rachin Ravindra is also being used currently more as a sheet anchor and a little bit as a rotator. He's got a very low dot index, he's got a high boundary index, and he's somebody who's going to come in the middle overs and try and get boundaries off the spinners or the odd pace bowler. He's a player who struggled a little bit with wrist spin, so maybe Varun Chakravarti has a chance there to get him out. Still, that said, he's going to be mostly a player who looks to play through the middle over phase so that other players can get a hit on. Especially if he comes in during the power play, he'll likely allow somebody like a Finn Allen or a Tim Seifert to get themselves going. Now, Daryl Mitchell is your classic middle order player. He's got a very low dot index, one of the lowest of 57, which means he's an incredible strike rotator. He's got a high boundary index of 137. He's somebody who can come in and break the pressure. He's got consistent runs. He doesn't strike that high at 150.3, but this is your ideal player to get you through from the 7th over to the 14th over and then hit big. Because of his big height, he can get under the spinners. I think he's going to be somebody who can play against Varun Chakravarti pretty well, and he's a pressure breaker and a spin specialist. Daryl Mitchell has also been someone who's consistently gotten runs against India. Whenever they've played, especially in ODIs, I know there's a format change, but Daryl Mitchell has always scored runs against India. The prime example is the 2023 World Cup semi-final where he got a century. He kept New Zealand in the game for a long time, and he's a definite match winner. Mark Chapman is also a similar middle over player, but he comes in towards the second middle over phase, which is 10 to 14, and he's more of a boundary hitter. He likes to take on the bowlers a little bit more, while Daryl Mitchell can play both gears. Mark Chapman is more inclined towards the second gear of trying to get boundaries off spinners. Now next up is Glenn Phillips. Glenn Phillips is going to look to be somewhat of a finisher. Sometimes he's played at 4. He had an incredible bilateral series against India, especially on flat tracks, and seemed to find his form. He's a player who can take on any bowling attack. He can access a lot of the parts of the pitch, and he's primarily going to be used as a finisher or somebody who comes in that second middle order and tries to get momentum for the side. He's got an incredibly high strike rate, and it would be quite unfortunate if they push him in too early. He looks to get boundaries and he gets out. Primarily because New Zealand doesn't have a lot of finishers. Their main finisher is going to be Jimmy Neesham if they continue to play him. He's a player who can strike the ball very well. We saw that in the 2019 World Cup final, how good of a batter he is. Considering his role, he's a pretty average finisher because he's got a boundary index of 109. But that said, he is going to be the go-to man when it comes to power hitting for New Zealand down the order, especially given that New Zealand, like India, also have two lower order anchors in Cole McConkey and Mitchell Santner. Cole McConkey was primarily used as a top order batsman for Canterbury, but New Zealand seemed to be using him as a lower order anchor. And Mitchell Santner is also a lower order anchor, but he's really improved his boundary hitting game over the last couple of years, so he might be a secondary finisher. I don't think he can be classified directly as a proper finisher yet. He's got good knocks, but he's unproven against a quality bowling attack like India in pressure conditions. Nonetheless, he's got a pretty decent average of 23.2 and he's got a high boundary index, so we know that he's capable of doing that. Cole McConkey fits the criteria for a lower order anchor, even though he was primarily used as a top order anchor.